Celebrating is always nice in Formula One, even when you don't win. Ferrari did it last week, in the general chaos that unfolded at Piazza Castello in Milan. Thousands of fans going wild for the red team. An additional proof of the collective madness, if any more was needed, of a true people ready to fully support the historic Italian team. Passion reigns, in short. It has been too long since the prancing horse wrote its name on the winner's list. An indescribable wait. More than 3 decades spent enduring the triumphs of others, a scenario no one who loves the Maranello team can bear any longer. And this is somewhat the meaning of the Milan event that also involved the main drivers, a show that was meant to satisfy the public. There is nothing wrong with that. An event like this should be viewed with a playful spirit, an opportunity to be together and share the great enthusiasm. Ferrari did well. Giving satisfaction to those who spend whole days following the team is the least they can do. Then, clearly, if things on the track also go in the right direction, the so-called mental imbalance of the fans would make sense. Within the Red Parade, of course, space was given to several figures who, although in perhaps a somewhat trivial manner, shared their impressions, summing up hopes, thoughts, and objectives to achieve. French team principal Frédéric Vasseur is undoubtedly a great professional, and he now tackles his 3rd year at the top of the Ferrari racing department, after the encouraging progress seen last year. A shrewd and very well-prepared person. In front of journalists' microphones, the former Alfa Romeo team boss always knows what to say, and when he doesn't know or prefers not to know, he has all the rhetorical skills to say everything and nothing. The ups and downs he mentioned are always there, unless he dominates, especially when the championship is still recent. The important aspect in Formula One is the ability to manage difficult moments in the best way. This is an aspect that has cost Ferrari some world championships. Just think of 2018, when the Italian car had everything to beat Mercedes. Yet the poor management of resources, where everyone was responsible, namely Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Räikkönen, the technicians and engineers, meant that the Brackley team could triumph. In that very season, the German team was able to limit the damage when the SF71H was faster, bringing home results sometimes beyond the value of the Mercedes W09. We hope the Maranello team takes inspiration from this scenario, which coincidentally, French engineer Loic Serra, currently the technical director of Ferrari, and Lewis Hamilton experienced firsthand to beat the Italian team. Their experience in this regard will be decisive, as it is always the details, no matter how small, that, when combined, make a team great. A fast car is not enough. A myriad of supporting factors are needed to reach the set target. Frédéric Vasseur knows this, and the path he is leading seems to be the right one. Looking ahead to the Australian Grand Prix, there are at least 4 teams capable of winning at the 5.278-kilometer Albert Park Grand Prix circuit in Melbourne on Sunday, according to Frédéric Vasseur. The same goes for the Chinese Grand Prix, which will not even give the paddock protagonists time to reflect, considering that the race in the land of the rising sun comes the week after the Australian debut. Then we will see. The fact that many can have their say at the start of this championship is a good thing. It removes the taken-for-granted aspect that is so boring in Formula One. It provides excitement and keeps the audience glued to the screens. This is welcome, of course. However, putting oneself in Ferrari's selfish shoes, it is time to start a new cycle. Time to blind the others. We are talking about the 2025 Formula One World Championship, but also about next year, where the clear gap in technical regulations offers the possibility to turn things around. Let's hope so. Meanwhile, the intense battle is almost a certainty, and indeed the words of the French manager about the equal competitiveness of the top teams are spot on. However, the excellent result from last season must be the foundation. Anything less is unacceptable and should not happen. A greater push is needed to fight for both Formula One world titles. No other scenarios are acceptable. There are several factors that increase a driver's performance. The raw talent of the Ferrari drivers is not lacking. On the contrary, it is the highest when you sum up the qualities of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton and compare them with those of others. A point in their favor that needs to be managed well. Frédéric Vasseur mentioned this at the celebration last week, emphasizing the importance of this aspect. Lewis Hamilton has won everything, but his hunger, as he himself swears, is the same as it was a few years ago. Charles Leclerc, on the other hand, has won nothing yet, so his desire to look down on everyone is quite high. Elevated, to be precise. It is all about synergy, the ability to unite and combine forces. Speed on track, okay, performance, okay, but a lot and then a lot, and still a lot of motivation to reach the final goal. The new energy unleashed by the Lewis Hamilton-Charles Leclerc partnership must fill Ferrari's DNA, which still needs a little more to give its maximum. There's also the pressure factor, which weighs heavily, but that's a Damocles sword that no one in Formula One can remove when wearing Ferrari's clothes. In only a few days, Lewis Hamilton will drive in his first Grand Prix for Ferrari. Historically, both Ferrari and the British driver have performed well at the Albert Park Grand Prix circuit in Melbourne separately. As Lewis Hamilton had been contracted with Mercedes until the end of December, he was unable to participate in the post-season test with Ferrari. When asked about how he was adjusting, he explained that he had started relatively late compared to others, as he hadn't been able to do the year-end test. He mentioned that when Sebastian Vettel had joined, he started in November, which gave him a good 2 months to prepare. Lewis Hamilton, like the German, joined Ferrari in pursuit of another championship. He noted that, for him, the month he had been involved was intense, with a lot crammed into that period. Personally, he preferred to dive right in and figure things out as they went along, which was exactly what they were doing. One test the 7-time Formula One world champion did manage to take part in with Ferrari was the pre-season testing session in Bahrain, where he observed the performance of rival teams. He remarked that the other teams looked really quick and competitive, and the competition seemed very close, with McLaren that looks particularly strong. The Briton added that they wouldn't know for sure until the following week where they stood, but acknowledged that they had work to do and that everyone was fully focused. With the Australian Grand Prix just around the corner, the Ferrari engineers and technicians are now preparing for an exciting weekend ahead. Lewis Hamilton, along with teammate Charles Leclerc, will compete on the challenging Albert Park Grand Prix circuit in Melbourne. As the first major race of the year, the event will give both Ferrari drivers and the team's new lineup with a chance to gauge their performance against the competition. For Ferrari, it marks a significant moment, as they look to make a strong statement in the early stages of the 2025 Formula One season. The team's preparations, which included the pre-season testing session at the Bahrain circuit in Scuderia, have been focused on fine-tuning the SF25 car, analyzing data, and ensuring they have the best possible setup to tackle the challenges of Melbourne's street circuit. As they head into the Australian Grand Prix race weekend, all eyes will be on Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc to see how they perform under pressure and whether their hard work in the off-season will pay off on the track. It is a crucial moment for the Maranello team as they aim to reassert themselves as strong contenders for the title in the 2025 Formula One Championship.